Why does it take money to make money? What is it about having money already that makes it easier to get more in the future? I'm going to explore that in this video. And by the way, I'm Daniel Oliver, and my degree in sociology is the how and why of my life overseas in places like Arabia, Australia, Pakistan, and more. So be sure to subscribe because this is where I share my unique perspective on love, life, health, sex, and a whole bunch of other things. Okay, so how come it takes money to make money? Well, it's more than just a simple rhyme. It's one of the truest adages I've ever heard. Here's a quick story from one of my experiences. Now, some of you know that I went to Columbia University. In my last video, I talked about Duke University. That's actually where I started, but then I transferred. Now, as a transfer, I met another transfer who happened to be an international student from Germany. And he and one of his other friends invited me to join their finance club. And it was a pretty clever hustle. What they would do was approach bankers on Wall Street and invite them to give a talk to the finance club of Columbia University. Now, from the banker's perspective, this was a pretty prestigious invite. Here's the thing though, there was no club. It was just those guys. Once someone agreed to speak on campus, they would then flyer around to make sure there was an audience. What was the point of all this? Basically, it was to develop contacts on Wall Street for their future career after graduation. And that's exactly what happened for both of them. When they invited me to join, I was kind of more like, yeah, I like hanging out with you guys, but I'm not really into like finance. So I didn't get involved. And looking back, I think that was a big mistake. I'm going to talk about that a little later though. Here's what we should talk about now. Back to the original subject. What does this have to do with taking money to make money? Well, both of these two individuals had something in common with each other that they didn't have with me. They were both incredibly wealthy. My German friend was actually a baron, and that's kind of like a title like Duke or Earl in England. It's something that you hear about from medieval times, but in a lot of European countries, a landed gentry or nobility still exists, and they have privileges and title and rank. Most importantly, they have lands and castles in their family. So this is the background that that person came from. The second person was the son of a Russian oligarch. So he was one of those people that got rich quick in shady circumstances after the fall of the Soviet Union. So they both grew up with money and they knew how to manage it. They had parents that were always thinking about how to make money grow, how not to lose it, how to capitalize on opportunities, how to keep the wealth that they had productive. Because something that you inherit that's 500 years old can be a liability. For example, you're a German baron and you own a couple of castles, like my friend. Great. Well, actually, these days, a castle is a liability because it takes a lot of money for upkeep. The amount of staff that you would have to pay would cause you another large expense. And imagine the taxes. And who wants to really live in a castle anyway? Who wants to live in 3 castles? So what their family did was say, hey, one of these castles is actually going to be the campus of a university. So we'll charge them rent for that. And there's a music university whose campus is basically one of my friend's castles, which tells you how big it is. Now, if these are the kinds of things that you talk about at dinner, instead of sports or homework, or let's say in addition to those things, then this is one of the advantages, and you might even say privileges, that growing up with money has. You don't just inherit the dollars or the assets or the land, you inherit the mentality of growing wealth, of managing wealth, of thinking about wealth and understanding it. If your table talk is successful financial transactions and investments, or even unsuccessful ones and why they were unsuccessful, then that's what you will continue to think about as an adult. It becomes your focus. If you come from a family who thinks that working hard is the ticket to success, then the conversations that you have and the mentality that you inherit are going to be totally different. So it's actually a wealth building mentality that's more important than anything else. Plenty of people can inherit money and blow it. Most people make enough money to to have enough wealth to grow, but they don't do so. So I have realized, really as a sociologist, and economics are part of sociology, that it's the mentality that you take towards building wealth that makes the most difference. Now, you don't absolutely have to have money to make it, meaning you can start with little or nothing, but if you have the mentality of growing, whatsoever you are able to earn, you will make the most out of. And that's something that should give hope to all of us who are together on this financial re-education, because anyone can adopt a mentality, right? Not everyone will inherit wealth, but let's make sure that we have the mentality so that we all bequeath wealth when we go. Okay? That's all for now. I hope to see you in more videos, and I would definitely love to hear your wealth building tips and strategies in the comments. Otherwise, subscribe and join me for the ride of my financial re-education. Bye.